Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning for our webinar, Holiday Email Tips for Nonprofits. My name is Jill Bastian, and I'm the Training and Education Manager here at Vertical Response. And on the slide in front of you, you can see Twitter handles. If you want to tweet me any questions, you certainly can do that, and that's my Twitter handle. Plus, Vertical Response has our own Twitter account, so you can tweet us at VR for Small Biz as well. Just a couple things before we get started. First of all, if you were on the call earlier and got bumped off, I apologize for that. The tool that I use for presenting the webinars froze on me, and I wasn't even going to be able to click start, never mind run the program, so I had to back out of that, so sorry about that. Also, this webinar, I have lots of information for you guys today, so this webinar is going to be about 45 minutes or so. I'll try not to linger too long on some of the things that you might be familiar with. But we will do Q&A at the end, so if you do think of some questions along the way, go ahead and type those into the box that you see in the GoToWebinar window, and I'll be more than happy to answer as many of those as I can at the end of the webinar. One of the questions we get a lot is this being recorded? And the answer is yes, I am recording this. This will be available on our help site next week. I'll put that up there as well as the slides. I'll include the slides and the recorded version, so if you want to go back and reference anything, you'll be able to see that. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, this is what we're going to go over today. I'm going to talk about some email basics for nonprofits, as well as some things that you can do for the holidays. And I have lots of examples of emails to show you some of the things that I'm talking about. I'm also going to cover social media a little bit. I know that this is email tips for the holidays, but I think social media and nonprofits and the holidays all go together really well. And so I'm going to go over social media just a little bit. I do have a resources slide for you. And as I said, we also will do some Q&A too. So first of all, let's take a look at how the end of the year is looking. So before we jump into some tips and examples, I have some statistics for you from onlinegivingstudy.org. So first of all, in the study that they did, they found that a third of donations were made in December alone. So as a nonprofit, you can definitely take advantage of the sentiment of the season and the gift-giving time of the year as well, and try to get some donations for your organization. And obviously, with this graph here, you're going to be able to see that this is something that will work really well for you. This is December donations broken down by day, which is kind of interesting. So you'll notice as the month progresses, there's more and more donations that are given. And the last couple days of December are huge donation days. And in line with all of the other stats that we were just looking at, the donation amount is also higher in December versus the rest of the year. Again, it's a great time of year for people to be giving gifts, and a donation to a nonprofit is something that will work really well for a lot of people as a gift, and that's something we're going to talk about a little bit. So this slide, the increase in the number of emails sent from November, which is a big email sending month already, to December is a 47% increase. And that's a lot of emails coming into people's inboxes. Some of you right now might be thinking, I'm not a retailer, as the statistic is pointing out here. But some nonprofits do have items that they can sell during the holidays, so they could be doing retailing type of emails, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. And even if you don't have something that you sell for your organization, you offer a service, for example, your emails are competing with all of these emails that are coming into your recipients' inboxes. So even if you're not sending this type of email, you have to keep in mind that your recipients are going to be getting a lot of emails, and you want to do something with your email to stand out and try to get their attention, to get them to want to open the emails that you're sending to them. So you want your holiday email marketing to be relevant for your customer/client. And again, you can think about the people that you're reaching out to during this time of year as a customer. You're asking them to do something pretty similar to what retailers are doing. You're asking them to give you money for something, generally for fundraising or for helping your organization. And some of you, as I said, probably have some items that you could sell as well, which would work well in emails. But if you think about the people that you're reaching out to as somebody who's your customer, then it might make it a little bit easier for you to be creating the type of emails that you need to be creating, especially this time of year. Also, keeping important dates. And I do have some resources with this information. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But keeping important dates and holiday patterns in mind will also help you target the type of people on your mailing list that you're going to be sending to. So let's talk a little bit about email basics. And hopefully some of this information is not new to you. But again, if it is, feel free to ask any questions, and I'll answer as many of those as I can at the end. But hopefully some of this information is things that you've picked up from other webinars that we've done in the past. But I want to make sure everyone is on the same page when we talk about that. So when we're talking about sending out emails, not just this time of year, but any time of the year, you want to make sure that you're mailing on a regular basis. And there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, it helps with your open rate. You want people to open your emails, and you're going to encourage them to open your emails if they're expecting to get an email from you. If you're sending them something that's really interesting, that will also make them anticipate your email when it comes. So mailing infrequently or sporadically can be a problem for your recipient in remembering what service or products that you offer, as well as remembering that they signed up to receive your email in the first place. So if you keep mailing on a regular basis, the services that you offer are going to stay top of mind for the people who you're sending your email to. Now, if you are mailing on a regular basis, once a month or whatever, and during this time of year you decide that you want to change your frequency, which is pretty common, most people start sending out more emails this time of year. Think about your own inbox and how many emails you suddenly start getting come November and December from any online retailer or any retailer. It can go from once a week to once a day. And I'm certainly not recommending that you do something like that. But if you are planning on doing something more regular, just alert your recipient so that they're aware that there will be a slight change in the frequency. You might say something like, for the holiday season, we have planned a series of emails to help you with holiday gift giving or something like that. And then they'll know that it's for the holiday season, so this change in frequency will end after the holidays, and they'll know what's coming up so that they don't unsubscribe thinking that you suddenly decided to start spamming them. Also, always send whatever you promise. So when they sign up to receive your emails, you want to make sure you're sending the regular amount of time that you said you would with the content that you said you would. You don't really want to change that up a whole lot. And also, this is important, and hopefully all of you know, you want to respect all of the unsubscribes. Unsubscribing is certainly something that's required by the CAN-SPAM law, and we manage all that information for you in vertical response. But you don't want to try to mail to people outside of vertical response if they've unsubscribed, trying to get more from them, just because that could cause issues with CAN-SPAM, and it could also get you marked as a spammer, which means sending emails in general will be really hard for you. So some of the specific basic things that we're going to talk about. Your from label, again, hopefully this isn't anything new to you, but your from label should be the name of your organization. Sometimes people like to put someone's name as the sender. If you think that your recipients will know who that is and will make them want to open the email, you could certainly try using that. But generally speaking, the name of your organization is what they're going to recognize before they recognize a person's name. And so generally that's what you want to use. That's going to influence your open rate, so you want to make sure it's something your recipients are expecting. Once you establish what it is, you want to be consistent, because again, your recipients are expecting the email to come from a specific company or a specific organization. And if you start changing that, that could cause an issue with the open rate. They may not expect a person to be sending that email and they won't open it. Now, in email marketing, there is a lot of testing that goes on, and I'm not going to talk too much about that today, but there are certainly some things that you can test and see how your recipients respond to it. And the from label is one of those things. So you could certainly test your organization's name versus maybe the founder's name or something like that in the from label and see which is giving you a better open rate. And we do have some guides and recorded webinars that can help you do that. But you basically just split your list and see which one gives you the better open rate. So next to the from label, what gets your email opened is the subject line. So now your recipient knows who's sending it. That's the from label. The subject line is what's going to entice them to want to open your email. The CAN-SPAM law says that your subject line has to pertain to the content of your email. So you can't do something really tricky in the subject line to try to get people to open your email. And you also have a slight limitation to how much information. Generally, it's about 40 to 50 characters, and that's determined by the receiving inbox. So ISPs will set up how many, or email clients, sorry, will set up how many characters they're going to show in the subject line, and you will have about 40 to 50 characters to get your message across. So the subject line is a little tricky, and again, this also helps your recipients want to open your email. So again, it should be something that's enticing. You also don't want to use all caps or over using punctuation because, one, that could cause your email to go to the spam folder. It's not the only thing, but it could do that. And also, all caps is yelling online, so your recipients might feel like you're yelling at them if you do all caps. So in addition to the subject line, there is pre-header text. And pre-header text is something that is fairly new, and you might notice this if you're looking at your own inbox. And not all email clients show pre-header text, but pre-header text is supplemental information to your subject line. So when you're looking at your email in the inbox, you can see the screenshot I have here. So on the left, we have the from name. In the middle is the subject line, and on the right is the pre-header text. So the pre-header text is the first line of text in the email. And generally it's called pre-header because it comes above the graphic or logo that you have at the top of your email, so the header of the email. Generally that's where it comes. If you don't have anything up there, it's whatever is the first line of text. So you want to have you have control over that, and you want to keep in mind some of your recipients are going to see this. So you want your pre-header text to support what your subject line says, but you don't want it to repeat what your subject line says. So, maybe your subject line is, you're sending out a monthly newsletter, but your pre-header text could be something about an event that you have coming up for the holidays, or something about a donation or purchase if there's something that you have available for people to buy. Something that will get people's attention and also, again, help them understand what the subject line is and get them to open the email. So those are the things that are really important to getting your recipients to want to open the email. And again, that's a pretty important piece. Once they open it and they can see the content of your email, they can start making some decisions. One of the things, especially as a nonprofit, that you want to take special care with is your call to action. And all emails, or pretty much all emails, not all of them, but a lot of them will have a call to action. And basically what a call to action is what it is you want your recipient to do when they open the email. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about specific calls to action for nonprofits on the next slide. But you want your call to action, so what you're asking your recipient to do, to be clear and concise. You want to make sure they understand what it is you want them to do. Generally, you're going to have them click on a link to go to your website or to a website. So make sure when they click the link, they're going exactly where they expect to go. Using call to action buttons can increase your click-through rate, which a lot of people find really important. Open rates and click-through rates really help show people who are interested and engaged in your email, so it's a good metric to track. But also using a call to action button can increase sales or donations for your organization as well, because they're very compelling. And I'll show you some examples. But on this slide, these are call to action buttons. And they ask your recipients to do something specific, and they're very eye-catching. So you really want to think about using call to action buttons in your emails, especially if it's a slightly different color than what's going on in your email, like the red one or the blue one. It'll draw people's attention to that part of your email where your call to action button is. And people like to click on buttons. They don't necessarily have to know why they're doing it, but they like to click on buttons. And the other thing to keep in mind about call to action buttons is that any of your recipients looking at your email on a mobile device will have an easier time of clicking on a link if it's a button, because the smaller screen with a finger clicking on it is a lot easier to hit a button than to hit a link. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. For nonprofits, you guys have a lot of different types of call to actions that you can ask people to do, even at this time of year. Certainly, probably the one that you'll be most interested in is asking people to donate. So you can create a button that says donate now or donate to whatever your organization is called, and just make sure you're linking that to a page that they can go and do the donations. If you're a nonprofit that does a lot of work with legislation, you can include a button where people can go and sign a petition or send an email to a politician. You might be looking for volunteers. Again, maybe you're holding an event this season and you need volunteers to help specifically for the event and maybe going forward in the future. You can use a call to action button to get people to volunteer. So you could have a button that says volunteer. You can also have people donate to other related organizations. And if you're having an event, have a button where people can go and sign up to attend your event. Vertical response makes it pretty easy for you to create a call to action button. We have a website. It's called buttons.verticalresponse.com, and I will have this on the resources slide at the end as well, so you can write that down then. It's free to create a button, and basically we kind of walk you through some steps of setting it up. So you can write what your text is, you can select what color your text is and what font you use, what color your button is, and then it's a JPEG, so you can use it in your email as you would for any image. You can even use it on your blog or website. So it's, again, free to create buttons to use for your emails at our buttons site. So I'm just going to cover, I know there's a lot of information on this slide, but these are some of the basics of email design to keep in mind, and then we're going to start looking at some ideas of the people you're going to be sending to, and then some email examples, which I know you guys are waiting for. So when you're creating your email, first of all, the thing to keep in mind is the way people read emails. So it's important that whatever the most important piece of information in your email is should be at the top. Above the fold is what we would call it. That's kind of a newspaper term, but it's been translated to the online world. And basically above the fold means before your recipients have to scroll to see the rest of the information in the email. So you want to make sure that whatever you're trying to get across to them is available above the fold so that they can see the specific things that you're trying to get them to do. Again, your call to action should be above the fold so that they know what it is they're supposed to do right away. When you're creating your email, make sure that you're using images, because people love to look at images, and images also help to break up text in your email so that it's a little easier for your recipients to read. It's not one big block of text on the screen. But you don't want to have too many images, and you don't want to have really large images that might take a long time to download. So you want to follow what we call the 80-20 rule. And again, this isn't really like a law. You just want to keep this in mind. About 80% text versus 20% images. This time of year, maybe you're having an event and you want to include pictures of people enjoying themselves, because also that's a great way to get people excited about attending your event, is if they can see other people having fun. So if you want to include images like that, that's great, and maybe it'll be more like the 60-40 rule. But the basic rule to follow is that you have more text than images so that you have a balance. You want to make it easy for your recipients to read, and you want to keep in mind that reading things online is not the same as reading things on a piece of paper. So there are some things you can do that can cause eye fatigue, and you want to avoid that because you don't want your recipients to leave your email. So make it easy for them to read. Don't use crazy color combinations. Using like pastel colors with a white background, it's hard to read. Or using bright pink and bright yellow backgrounds. Again, it's eye-catching, but it also can cause people eye strain, and they'll leave your email quicker than you maybe want them to. Use easy-to-read fonts, and the ones that you generally want to use are things like Arial, Times New Roman, or Verdana. Yes, those are not really exciting, but there's a couple reasons you want to use those. First of all your recipients will have them. These are pretty basic fonts, so your recipients will see the email the way you designed it if you use fonts like this. Also, they're much easier to read online. And if you take a look there, you can see Verdana compared to Arial is a much larger font, which makes it much easier for your recipients to read when they're reading online. And you also want to keep in mind, maybe not everyone you're sending an email to is 18. So you want to keep in mind that having people who might be a little bit older, you want to give them a font that's easy to read as well. Using reverse text like I have here on the screen where I have the black background with the white, you can do that, but just do it a little bit. Again, it's really hard to read light text on a dark background. And again, so you don't want to cause your recipients to want to leave your email. If you want to emphasize the information in your email, use bold, and don't bold everything, otherwise it loses its power. But bolding certain pieces of text will draw your recipient's eyes to that bolded text, so it'll make it easy for you to get your point across. Italics are hard to read online, and underlining will look like a link. So if you want to emphasize, use bold. Personalize your message, especially this time of year. Make your recipients feel like you know who they are. So personalize with a name or specific information about donations they've made in the past or even purchases they've made in the past. Just as long as it's in your mailing list in our system, you can merge that information into your email. And assist in scanning, that's the last bullet there on this slide, and it's a pretty important one. So your recipients are not going to read every single word that you put in your email, unfortunately. As compelling as I'm sure that the text that you've written is, you want to make sure that they're getting the important information, so make it easy for them to find it. Bold the keywords. Use bullets. Again, bullets draw the eye to that part of the email, so you'll be able to get across specific information if you use bullets. White space is your friend. It may not look as pretty, but it makes it easier to read your email. And using columns will also help with that as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about people's shopping habits. And again, I know you're probably thinking, I'm not a retailer, I'm not selling anything. But again, you have a unique product or service that your recipients are interested in, and the different ways people respond to the holiday season will also impact how they're going to interact with your emails. And it is entirely possible that some of the people on the call today do have products that they sell. And even if you have a Cafe Press account where you have, maybe some t-shirts or coffee mugs that people can buy with your logo on it, you can still use that type of information this time of year. Those are still products that you could sell and that you can encourage people who are on your mailing list to help donate to your cause. So there's 4 different phases for holiday shopping, and some of you will probably recognize yourselves in some of these. But how this applies to you, I'm going to talk about as we go through the slides. So for the early birds, these are people who try to get everything done really early in the year. You're getting pretty close to the time when the early birds are done, but there's still some things that you can do. So you definitely want to reach out to people who you know are very loyal to your cause. And you want to have your mailing list specifically targeted for these people. So that might mean that you need to break your list up a little bit, but creating a targeted mailing list or various targeted mailing lists will make it a lot easier on you when you're trying to send out different types of emails during the year, not just this time of the year. So you can send out an email to the people who are considered early birds, and again, that's going to be as soon as possible because we're getting close to the end of this one. But early birds are people who get things done early, and again, if you're having something like an event, you can have early bird registration special. So if people sign up to attend your holiday extravaganza fundraising event that you have going on this year, give the early birds an opportunity to sign up and maybe give them a deal. Buy one, get one tickets to your event. Maybe they get a t-shirt if they sign up before a specific date. These are the type of people that you can get to sign on to your event early. Maybe you have someone who's donated funds to your organization, and you can urge this type of shopper to donate to your organization by also offering a matching donation, for example, but having the donation and whenever the actual donation has been used up or within a certain time frame. And again, this is something that will be really appealing to a lot of people, not necessarily just the early birds, but for the people who are interested in getting things done early, giving them a sense of urgency or something that's time sensitive will drive them to want to participate in what you're asking them. Maybe you have some leftover t-shirts or keychains or something from an event you held earlier in the year. You could do a free gift with a donation while those supplies last. You can also, if you're an organization where you have office hours to help people with something specific, if you have special holiday hours for your services, you can let people know that ahead of time so they can plan that into their schedule. Of course, the holidays are an interesting time of year for everyone, even animals. So if you are extending your services hours for this time of year, let people know well in advance so that they can come and volunteer if you need volunteers for those hours, or just if they're going to avail themselves of your services, they know that ahead of time. You can also invite your early birds to beat the rush and check items off of their shopping list. Again, people, it may or may not be purchasing something from your organization, but again, if you have something that you're selling, a product on Cafe Press, even if you're asking people to make a donation, early birds will use that opportunity to finish their shopping early by making donations in people's names. And this is something that we're going to talk about a little bit because everybody has a list this time of year, and being able to check people off of the list easily during all of these different phases of the holiday season, being able to make a donation quickly and easily on your website can make it very easy for your recipients to finish all their holiday shopping very early or finish it at the last minute, whatever they're trying to do. So after the early birds is prime time, and we're starting to get into that in November. So November's coming up here rapidly. This is a nice time for you to send a thank you email. And it does not have to necessarily have a call to action. You don't have to ask people to buy something or donate or even sign up to be a volunteer. What you can do is send an email and thank them for their participation with your organization this year. People really appreciate that type of email that doesn't actually require them to do anything. And thanking them can go a long way to increasing loyalty. Plus, it also helps to put your organization top of mind for your recipients so that when it does come time for them to start doing holiday shopping, they will think about donating to your organization. So some more information about Prime Time. You can do online donations only type of promotions. Cyber Monday is a big holiday, well not holiday, a big emailing day. It's the Monday after Thanksgiving. And this is when all of the online realtors will, realtors, geez. Um, will send out their emails for people to start shopping for the holidays. But you could certainly compete with this, because if you have a website where people can make donations, or again, if you have products that they can buy online as well, you can be part of this, and you can start asking people to start thinking about what they're going to be doing for your organization this year. Are they going to be donating? Are they going to be making a purchase of a product that also has some funds go to your organization? Um, it's something that you can start to think about taking advantage of. Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. I'm sure you guys all know that, which is traditionally a huge shopping day. But more and more, November is becoming a Black November, which is sounds kind of ominous, but really more and more retailers are putting more information for shopping earlier and earlier in the month. So it isn't just Black Friday when they want people to start thinking about this. And so again, you're going to be competing with this type of email as well. So start thinking how your organization can have some special going on in November, or you can just start drawing attention to what your organization is doing to remind people that it is the time of year to start thinking about giving back as well. You can think about doing an email series. This might be something that works really well if you have some type of product, even if what you have are the bracelets that people have for supporting organizations, or you have magnets or keychains. Even if it's little things, those are great type of emails to help remind people that even small stocking stuffers or small gifts can be purchased from nonprofits. So last minute, and again, this is something that you guys could easily take advantage of, because as time starts ticking down, people will start thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what to get for some so-and-so on my mailing list. But being able to donate online makes it easy for people, again, to check their lists or check people off of their lists. And you could do things like, Grandma doesn't need another pair of slippers this year. Warm her heart instead by donating in her name. Or something like that. Maybe Grandma does need a pair of slippers, but warm her heart as well with a donation to your favorite charity, whatever your organization is called. And that makes it easy for your recipients, again, to check people off their list, especially the people who might be hard to buy for. For maybe a coworker or their boss. They could donate to that person's favorite organization in their name. And that makes it easy for the recipient of the email to take care of their needs. And that's certainly something that you also want to think about when you're sending out your emails, is what is it the benefit for the recipient of your email? What's in it for them? How is this going to make their life easier, right? So you can tell them, donating online in somebody's name, and they can beat the lines, they can beat the rush, they don't have to leave their house, they can do it in their jammies on their couch, and still feel good about what they've done, and the people receiving it will be happy as well. You, for your part, can make it easy for your recipients as well. Maybe if they do make a donation to your organization, in the name of somebody else, you can give them an option to print out a certificate that they can give to that person so that they know. Or your organization could send a card to the person that had the donation made in their name so that they know someone was thinking of them and they were doing something that was really good for people or animals or the environment, whatever type of organization that you're with. So as I said, the last minute people, you can definitely get their attention, and this would be more into December, probably mid-December. You can still hit people up because they're going to be able to donate online generally, right? Hopefully most of you have a way for them to donate online. Or again, if you're selling products, there are some other things that you can offer, a specific guaranteed delivery. Last minute gifts in certain pricing tiers. So if you have donation tiers, that would be great. You can say like donate $20, donate $50. And of course people know that they could donate whatever they wanted to. But by putting in different tiers that they could easily donate, that will make it easier for them to say, yes, that's what I want right there, and click on a button in your email to do it. Maybe you want to include something in your email that says donating $50 will help provide classroom supplies for a class of 30. Or $20 will house a homeless person for the week, or something like that. Whatever the pricing breakdown works out, then the people who are making the donation will also feel like they're specifically helping somebody, and they can picture it more in their mind what's going on. Again, online gift giving to wrap up list quickly, especially for the last minute people. This is a great way for them to finish buying things for maybe the hard to find gifts for people that they may not normally purchase things for. So anything that makes their lives easier is great. Maybe you have a popular donation list or services or something like that. You can give them a list of that. If you have some type of service that people could come and volunteer for, you could offer some type of gift certificate for that. So, maybe once a month you have a beach cleanup. Maybe somebody could donate that in someone's name and give them a gift certificate to come and join you the next time you do that. So bargain bounty shopper types are the people after the holidays who come out and start doing things just to get a deal. And as we saw in one of the earlier slides, the donations in December go up right at the end of the month. So that would be this type of person that you could send an email to reach out and get them to donate as well. Obviously, they're going to be looking at post-holiday sale information. So, maybe the cat sweater that you have on your Cafe Press account didn't sell as well as you thought. So maybe you could have that on sale. But you could entice them to make a purchase or a donation to make amends for all the eggnog and sweets that they ate during the holiday season. Also, they could, depending on what it is that you offer, they could stock up for the new year. Or they can start out the new year right by making a donation or volunteering for your organization. You can return the ugly sweater that Nana gave to you and donate the cash to your favorite charity. So you can reach out to these people in what it is that they normally do after the holidays, return their sweaters, buy things that are cheap, and maybe appeal to them in maybe a funny way to get them to want to also, again, donate or attend your event or volunteer, whatever you're trying to get them to do. So let's start taking a look at some emails. This email I included in here because I got this one sent to me on October 13th. So I think this one qualifies in the early bird category. I think the one thing I would probably change about this is maybe put in a call to action button in there so that I could easily go. But it did appeal to me. I thought the little snowman at the top was cute on the Christmas seal. And I went to the shop to see what it was that they sold because I didn't realize what Christmas seals sold besides the Christmas seals. And so I found out some interesting things that they had on there, including wrapping paper, which is something that I need and most people need. So I'm going to be purchasing some wrapping paper from Christmas seals, which will help me because I have to have wrapping paper, and it will make a donation to this organization. So this is how the early bird type of emails work. You get the information to your recipients, make them start thinking about what it is that your organization does, and help them donate or purchase something from your organization early when they're not quite ready to be thinking about all of this. So these guys are probably one of the first holiday emails that I've received so far this year. And I do get a lot of emails since it is part of my job. So they're well on the way to trying to encourage people to donate for their organization. The rest of the examples I have are vertical response customers, and I'm going to point out some of the things that I think are great in their emails. So first of all, this is an email that was sent out in December last year. Obviously, I can't show you December this year. And what I really like in this email is that they have these two call to action buttons, donate now. The first one is above the fold, which makes it really easy for the recipients to know what they're supposed to do. I also like that there's links as well as buttons for people to click on. So there's a couple of ways people can get to the website to watch the video or to donate. They can click on a link, they can click on a button. And I like that there is a button at the bottom of the email as well to donate. And all of their social media is on the bottom left as well. So you can stay in touch with this organization in a variety of ways. If you're sending out an email, and maybe you send out a monthly email like this one, you can include a table of contents, which is what the big red arrow is pointing at. This way, this information, again, is above the fold. So if you have a longer email that has lots of information in it, including things like making a donation, having a table of contents will help your recipients know what else is going on in the email, even if they can't see it here at the top, and make them want to go take a look at what else is going on in the email. So you can help draw them into your email by including this type of information at the top. This one has a couple of things that I like. First of all, at the very top, our templates do have social sharing buttons that are automatically set up in there. You can turn them off, but I would encourage you not to do that because those buttons at the very top, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, allows your recipients to share the email on their own social media platform. So this will make it very easy for your recipients to share your email with other people who might be interested. They'll be able to see the email. There will be a link in that post that they can see the email. They can click on the links. They can make donations. They can make a purchase. Whatever it is that you're trying to do with your email, the email shared on social media will allow people to do that. So it's a great way to spread the word. It's free. It's part of your account. So I definitely encourage everyone to do that. The other thing that the red arrow is pointing out is they are getting people ready for an event. Obviously, they sent this a little while ago, but they sent this email out ahead of time, a month ahead of time, to get people to save the date. So if you're having events, if you're having a specific fundraiser, let people know early so that they can plan it into their schedule. It is a busy time of the year for everyone, and making sure that people can attend your events is really important. So make sure you let them know well in advance. This one has, again, there's a lot of information in this email, but the very top above the fold, they're talking about things that are coming up, the holidays as well as some other events that are coming up. And the first article they have here is something for the holidays. You can adopt an angel. And you could do this in someone else's name, or you could do it here. You could also donate. I'm terrible at taking screenshots, so there's a little bit more at the bottom of this here, but they have a list of things that could be donated as well as just items that could be donated as well as money that could be donated. And the thing that they did, which I thought was really great, was right below this section, they had a forward to a friend link. That way, people who find this to be really compelling and interesting can share it with their friends as well, and hopefully get some more people to help in this organization. And again, it's free to put forward to a friend links in your email. So if you're sending an email like this, which has both a call to action for your donation as well as additional information, put the forward to a friend link in there where you think people will make it easy to see or use. So this one is a little long, and so it's broken up a little bit. But this one is a story, a very compelling and warm story about how this organization helped this specific person. And it's in her own words, and she talks about the things that this organization did that made her life and her son's life much better. It is a little bit long, but it is really compelling, and people would be very interested in reading how helpful an organization is. And then at the bottom of this are donations, and it's broken down, as I suggested before, broken down by different tiers. $100 buys 1 day of parent advising for 6 families. So it breaks it down how much your donation is going to help the organization. And that, again, makes it easy for people to say, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. Again, people can donate whatever they want, and they know that. But by giving them specific price points, that makes it much easier for them to think about who they might be donating in the name of. You can also just send out happy holiday greetings. And maybe later on in December you could do that. This one has just a happy holidays wish with pictures of some of the horses that have been helped with this organization. And they also have a click here to donate button as well. It's not quite above the fold, but the wonderful holiday greeting is. And again, it can be something very heartwarming that people like to see. And it doesn't have to have necessarily a call to action in it to make people remember your organization. So I'm going to talk a little bit about social media, just a little bit. Hopefully you guys are using social media, and I know that this is probably the trickiest thing for everyone to totally get, but social media is pretty important during this time of year. And one of the things to keep in mind is that all the things that I talked about for emails, that using a donation to an organization or a purchase of a product from a nonprofit can help with gift giving challenges, you can use that same type of information for your social media. And you are just as busy as everybody else is this time of year, so repurpose as much information as you can. And that means on Facebook or Twitter, or if you're writing a blog, you can repurpose a variety of things. So for Twitter, think about the retweet. So make it a pretty compelling post that you put on Twitter, but make sure you're also leaving space for people to retweet it. And giving them the opportunity to retweet what it is that you've put up there can help spread the word. Use hashtags, especially if you're having an event. Create a hashtag for your event so that people can follow what's going on with that particular event with that hashtag. But if your organization is part of a specific type of charity, maybe there already is a hashtag that exists. And use that to help spread the information about what's going on with your organization through Twitter. Things for Twitter, hopefully you have seen at least some of our webinars on social media. If not, type that into the question box, and that'll remind me to tell you where to get some more information on this at the end. But interacting on Twitter is pretty much the same year-round, but you guys have holiday information that you can talk about as well. But this is a great time of year to ask questions of the people following you on Twitter and ask them to respond. So you could post questions about, what are your biggest holiday challenges this year, or gift-giving challenges, or what's your favorite organization to donate at this type of year. Something like that to get people to respond and answer your questions and get them to interact with your organization through social media. You can share stories. You can link to stories maybe that you've posted someplace else. You can tell people about a good holiday deal that you found, especially if you're helping people with your organization. So maybe you find a good holiday deal, you can share that on Twitter. And also, again, people will want to retweet the information that you're posting. So make sure it's something that's relevant for you and the people who are following you. The screenshot at the bottom there is for a nonprofit, Glamour Gals. And this was something that was done recently, and they're talking about the holidays and how you can get holiday cards through their organization. You also want to think about using a URL shortener for Twitter if you're going to be linking to your website, if you offer things like holiday cards. Something like Bitly or Owly will help you do that. So that you can track who's clicking on the links and it doesn't take up all of your character space. Writing for social media and keeping in contact on Facebook is pretty much like Twitter. So you don't want to write a whole lot because, again, people have a pretty limited amount of time to be looking at things on Facebook or Twitter. I mean, Twitter makes you have to write brief things because you only get 140 characters, but you want to keep it similar for Facebook. Now, the thing about vertical response, and we're going to take a look at this in some upcoming slides, is that once you've sent your email out, or right before you send your email out, you have the ability to post your email on Twitter and Facebook, or Facebook, whichever one you want to do. So that way, again, some of the content for Twitter and some of the content for Facebook will already be taken care of for you because you're going to be posting the emails that you're sending out to those social media platforms as well. So that can really be helpful. That's, again, repurposing some of your content. Also, phrase the information that you put on your Facebook in a likable way so that people can click like. Because people can see that information on their walls, and any of their friends can see it on their walls as well if their friends are liking things. Using videos and photos in your updates, especially this time of year, would be great to help keep people engaged in what's going on in your Facebook page. But also the way Facebook works, it will help get the post ranked higher if you have videos or pictures. Certainly share things that are going on in your office. Maybe you have a celebration or you've decorated. Maybe you have turkeys all over, pictures of turkeys all over the wall or something for Thanksgiving. Post that type of information on Facebook. People love seeing behind the scenes things going on Facebook. And you can also help engage people on Facebook using Facebook questions. And you've probably seen this if you've been on Facebook recently, but there are questions that you can pose and people can answer them. Again, you can post holiday donation type of questions or just holiday questions, whatever you want to try to use to get people to engage. So here's some examples. This is one of our customers, and you can see the top post there is their vertical response email. So again, our system will pull in your subject line and then make a short URL so that people can see the email. But they also have a video that they've posted on there. And just below that, they also have a picture of an event that they have coming up. So they have a variety of things that are going on here, and it isn't all stuff that they've written. So again, it is a busy time of year for you and everyone else, but pulling in things like the video that they have from YouTube makes it fun for the people following them on Facebook, and it also makes it easy for them to find information to put up there. So it doesn't have to be all about your organization. You can pull in things that go with it. So this was what was a little further down on their wall that didn't come up in my screenshot. So they're having an event, and or they had an event, and they posted information on Facebook to help entice people to come and participate in the event that they were having. You could also make a donation, and you could also order this bracelet that they had if you couldn't make it to the event, which also had a donation attached to that. So they were helping to spread the word about an event using their Facebook page. And again, this organization has a variety of things that they're using to update their Facebook page. So they have something going on at their organization. They have their own event, their Halloween event. But then below that, they have information from another blog. So they pulled in information from another blog to be part of their Facebook post. So that's another great way to fill in information on Facebook. So if you're writing blogs for the holidays, and I know some people do that for their organization, and some organizations do it in lieu of having a website, just make sure that the headlines are pretty compelling, maybe something holiday related. You want to think about writing blog posts with Twitter in mind so that they're not super long, and you can tweet your blog posts on Twitter. You can also post them on Facebook, but since Twitter has a short character count, make your blog post titles relatively short so that they can be tweeted. And using blogs, if you're not using a social media blog right now, or I'm sorry, using a blog, which is social media, it does help a lot for your website if you have a website as well. It helps increase search if people are searching for your organization or organizations like what you do. Blogs can help pull that information up higher in the search rankings. Just use the terms you would normally use for searching for your organization in your blog so that that gets pulled in. And having holiday-themed categories or more information about what your organization is providing for the holidays or ways for people to donate through your blog, that would be a great way to help incorporate this information. And what you would put in your email, you could certainly include on your blog. Again, you don't have to write from scratch every time you're setting something up for your recipients. Use information from your blog in your email and vice versa. What you're posting on Facebook doesn't have to be something exciting every single time you post, but including the information for your email is always a great way to fill that in. So again, remember, repurposing content at this time of year is pretty important so that you have time to do everything else that you need to do. Have little snacks, little pieces of information for Facebook and Twitter, and then use longer information in your email and newsletters where people will be able to spend a little extra time reading what's going on. And before you send everything out, check it twice. Have somebody else in your organization check over for any spelling errors or grammatical errors or something like that. Otherwise, you could end up with something like the picture in the top right. Cute, but missing something there. Also, reading out loud works. That's usually what I do. I kind of read things in my head and see how that works. And again, somebody else just taking an extra run through just to make sure everything looks good. So I'm going to put up some resources here, and I'll also start taking some questions. But we do have a Everything Holiday site, which right now is fall, but we're getting ready to move into more wintry things. But on our Everything Holiday site, we have guides. We have blog post links so you can find our blog posts. We have images you can use as well as some pre-made buttons that you can just download their images. And we have a calendar of important dates that are coming up so that you can keep that in mind when you're sending out your emails for your recipient. It's free to access this, and I can show you that in just a minute if you would like to take a look at that. Our marketing blog, which I had a screenshot for that in one of those last slides, has lots of holiday-themed information in there. And again, even though you may be not a typical retailer, you're still going to be reaching people at this time of year and asking them to make a donation, donate their time, or make a purchase. And so a lot of the information will be applicable even if it doesn't specifically say for a nonprofit on there. If you're looking for some tips on copywriting, which most of our users are, there is some help in the lounge where you can go and check out some information there or post questions. Our How to Do Everything help site, help.verticalresponse.com, can help you with some of the things that we talked about at the beginning. Setting up your call to action, because that's basically putting an image in your email and linking it. That information is on our How to Do Everything site. The other thing I would suggest you check out there are the recorded webinars. We did a nonprofit webinar at the beginning of the month with David Neff talking about fundraising for nonprofits, and that is up on our website, so you might want to go check that out if you missed that webinar. It was pretty interesting. The slides I had from the beginning, he also used. I found those really interesting statistics, and I thought that would be an important thing for to keep in mind when you're creating your emails this year. But that's free up on our recorded webinars page on our help site. Copy Blogger is a great place to also get some inspiration on writing. Buttons.verticalresponse.com, again, is our free site to set up buttons. We also have lots of guides. Our holiday site has some holiday-specific guides, so things to keep in mind in your emails for the holidays. A couple other ones you might want to check out on our guides page is Subject Line Savvy, Savvy Subject Line Writing for Success, which will help you with writing your subject lines. Again, that's pretty important stuff that helps get people to open your email, and that's the only way they're going to see the great content. So that could be a useful guide for you. And also, if you're thinking about testing things, you can test anything in your email. You could test your buttons. You could test how you ask people for the donation. So maybe you say, You know, you have a different tier, or maybe you say $50 will feed a family of 4 for a week. However you want to phrase that, you might want to test that and see what your recipients respond to better. And there's some testing